took a big hit from the big piece for the Phillies to avoid being snake-bitten in the Arizona desert. As they return home, it will take more than one big hit to avenge the offensive party the Tribe held at the Phillies' expense during their stop 2 weeks ago in Cleveland. As it turns out, a better than 500 road trip out west was pretty good for the Phils. They won 4 of the 7 games they played. Now they're back home for 2 against the Cleveland Indians and 3 against the Cincinnati Reds. Taking a look at the numbers from this past road trip, offensively the Phillies did struggle. There's no doubt about that. In the 7 games, they scored 25 runs. They hit 5 home runs. But look at the pitching numbers. 2.49 ERA for the starters and a 1.72 earned run average for the bullpen. A lot of that good work came from Jonathan Papelbon. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, along with Chris Wheeler. As it turns out, the Phils did play okay on the road trip, finishing 1 game above 500. They've got the bullpen and the starters to thank for that. Now they hope the bullpen and the starters can quiet down this Indians offense that just exploded when the Phillies last saw them.
Boy, did they ever. Kidded around, said it was home run derby, especially in that first game. They just smoked the Phils. There are 17 games since April 28th. They'd come into that series against the Phillies. They'd won 2 in a row. Then they won those 2, and they've just kept going. Talking to Terry Francona before the game, he said one of the keys beside their tremendous offense is their pitching has held up very well. Their starters have been good, and so has their bullpen. But here's game 1 in this series. It was just a tremendous thumping. Roy Halladay is going to have the surgery tomorrow. This was another indication that things were just not going right for him. Santana hit a 2-run home run. Then Reynolds, who can hit him as far as anybody, he goes deep, and it just continued one after another. And this is a lineup that didn't even have Bourne and Swisher, and they are back right now. Ryan Rayburn hits one there. We're going to show you a lot of highlights of him in game 2 as he just killed the Phillies in that game. But it was loud there that night. That was one thing we kept talking about. The way they kept hitting them out of the ballpark one after another, a lot of times with men on base, and it was just one pounding after another. And then we're going to move on to game number 2, and we're talking about this guy Rayburn, who isn't even in the lineup tonight. What a game he had against Cliff Lee. He hit him hard, he hit him soft, hit him all over the place, dribblers, line drives to the outfield. No matter what he did that night, it seemed like he was going to get on base and knock in runs. And there goes one that really hurt as he shot that ball to right center field. Phillies had a little better chance in this game, but for the most part, they couldn't score. And there goes a parachute out there off his bat. Just a tremendous night for Rayburn. And the last time they met, well, you see what happened. The Phillies obviously got swept in that series. Look at the way they got outscored. Talking to Terry about that before the game time, he really didn't want to talk about it too much. He said because that's about as hot as a team can be in 2 games, and he really doesn't expect that to happen again.
Yeah, they hit over 400 during that 2-game series against the Phillies. And, oh, by the way, their pitching staff, they're 11-3. Their starters are since the 28th of April. So we'll see what the Indians have in store for the Phillies tonight. Scott Kazmir will be reintroduced to the Phils, making his 5th start of the season. He's kind of a reclamation project, but he's hitting 95 on the gun. And Jonathan Pettibone will make the start. For the Phillies, it's his 5th start of the season. We talked about how good Papelbon was on the road trip. Well, he essentially helped the Phillies win those last 2 games in Arizona. He not only pushed aside a tired arm, but he had the aggressiveness. Lineups at first pitch when we come back. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. We've been celebrating the greatest moments in Major League Baseball for over 30 years. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales Event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank, where good banking is good citizenship. Isn't it time you experience good banking? By Xfinity, the official HD triple play provider of your Phillies. And by Independence Blue Cross. We are creating a more coordinated healthcare system that is built around you. Independence Blue Cross, changing the game. Here at Citizens Bank Park, getting set for tonight's ball game between the Phils and the Cleveland Indians. Jonathan Pettibone is ready to go. So is Michael Bourne. And here comes the first pitch of the night and the first pitch of this series against the Cleveland Indians. And it's fastball in there for a strike. It's 0-1. Michael Bourne was not in the lineup the last time the Phillies saw the Indians. He was on the disabled list and was due to come off any day. Inside, 1-1.
He had a bad finger to get his finger cut sliding into a bag. You look down there and see Indians, but from up here it looks like he's in that Braves uniform again.
Overall, Bourne is hitting .293, 2 home runs, 2 runs batted in.
You have to play up at the corners on him because Michael still is a threat to bunt. Of course, he can run with anybody.
On the outside corner, 2-2.
What Pettibone has been able to do in his brief major league career that they're impressed with him is he locates his fastball pretty well.
Well, he nearly got that cutter on the outside part of the plate. Instead, it's full 3-2. Home plate umpire Brian Knight could have called that a strike. It looked pretty good. Jason Kipnis is on deck. This is an Indians team that has won 13 of their last 16 games. They're hitting .264 as a club.
A lot of homers. As the Phillies well know, he's pretty pleased with his team right now. It's Terry Francona.
He's changed his look, Wheels. He's got a sweatshirt on instead of that pullover.
It's chilly. He doesn't have a uniform jersey.
No, Wheels, he does. It's underneath there.
He doesn't wear it.
As far as Major League Baseball knows, he has a uniform underneath that sweatshirt.
We didn't know if he had one here.
Swing and a miss. He handcuffs Bourne. One away here in the top of the first.
What's his number? I never knew.
You know what? I don't know. Let's take a look at the rest of the starting lineup for the Indians. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Kipnis Cabrera, then Swisher, the cleanup batter. Carlos Santana bats fifth. Mark Reynolds hits sixth. Michael Brantley seventh. Drew Stubbs is in right field. He'll bat eighth. And batting ninth at pitching is Scott Kazmir. Kipnis is a .225 hitter, 5 homers and 17 runs batted in. Takes a breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-1.
If you own a number 17 jersey for the Indians, that's Terry Francona's
I was
going
to say 37 for some reason.
I don't know what he was here.
Kipnis was hitting under 200 when the Phillies saw the Indians. He started to heat up somewhat. He's hit in 5 straight. And Pettibone's behind, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Pitch behind a little bit, the first 2 hitters. And you know you do not want to do that in this league, and especially to a lineup like this.
Missed with the cutter. It's 3-1. Asdrubal Cabrera is waiting on deck. Pettibone in his last outing went 5 2/3. He scattered 7 hits and 3 runs against the San Francisco Giants. He did walk 4 in that game. He received a no decision and a 4-3 loss. Out toward right field. Delman Young's playing deep, so he's got a beat on him. And there are 2 outs.
Got in on him a little bit too. It's a good pitch by Pettibone. Once again, he goes to 3-2 and gets a hitter out.
There are Pettibone's numbers: 2-0, a 3.63 earned run average, 14 strikeouts and 25 hits in 22 1/3 innings.
Yeah, there's a scouting report from Budweiser on him. That's a velocity on his fastball, and he's already thrown a few cutters. And as I mentioned earlier, he's had really good command with his fastball, and that's what's helped him compete up here.
Here's Asdrubal Cabrera, and he takes inside. It's 1-0. Cabrera, for the last couple of years, has been the Indians' best player. Although this year he's batting just .231 with 4 home runs and 17 runs batted in. He is one of the better, some people think he's the best, but he's one of the better defensive shortstops in the American League.
Yeah, and he can swing the bat too with power.
Jimmy Rollins has the honor of being one of the better shortstops in the National League
for a long time.
1-2 as Ruiz has his mask knocked off.
It used to be a common occurrence for Carlos Ruiz. I think that's the first time since he's been back that he got it completely knocked off.
Just missed inside, 2-2. Brian Knight, the home plate umpire, as we mentioned. Dan Iassoni at first, Mark Carlson at second. And Jerry Davis is the crew chief. This is the second time this year the Phillies have had this crew. Out toward left field, playable for Dominic Brown. So although he's thrown 19 pitches, it turns out to be a 1-2-3 top of the first for Jonathan Pettibone. We go to the bottom of the first. It's the Indians nothing and the Phillies coming up. We said temperatures are a little cool. It's supposed to warm up the next couple days. Let's take a look at the Phillies starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Leading it off at shortstop, Jimmy Rollins. Kevin Franzen gets the start at second. He'll hit second. Michael Young third, followed by Ryan Howard and Delman Young. Dominic Brown's in left field. He'll bat sixth. Carlos Ruiz seventh. John Mayberry's in center field. He'll bat eighth. And batting ninth and pitching, of course, is Pettibone. And they'll face 29-year-old left-hander. It's surprising to look and see that he's only 29. Scott Kazmir, who's making his fifth start for the Indians.
This guy one time was an unbelievable prospect with the Mets. Then went to the Rays, where the Phillies saw him in the World Series. He also pitched a game here with the Rays. And then it just all went away for him. But look at left-handed hitters against him right now. 176, coming off a really impressive start as we look at our Budweiser scouting report. And his fastball was in that area, topping off 95, maybe even 96 along the slider changeup.
He's a former first-round selection, 15th overall. He was a rising star in the Mets organization before they traded him to Tampa. And for Tampa, he was their main guy for a few years, including when the Phillies faced them in the World Series.
Right, he pitched the first game of the World Series, and Chase Utley had a two-run homer off him in the first inning.
Jimmy Rollins starts it off here at the bottom of the first, and Rollins takes outside.
Thank you to great baseball minds like Frank Kopenbarger, Skip Clayton, Terry Francona Award number 7.
Number 7.
Yeah.
Rollins fouls it away, 1-2. Rollins was 0 for 6 in the 2 games against the Indians out in Cleveland.
Well, Phillies didn't hit at all in that series, and boy did the Indians hit.
Phillies were outscored 20-2 in that series against the Indians. They watched the Indians pick up 20 extra base hits.
It was just loud when they hit. Just one loud sound after another as they hit him right on the barrel.
1 ball, 2 strikes now to Rollins. And Rollins pops it up down the right field line. Long run for everyone, and Kipnis can't get it. It's foul ball, so Rollins will get another chance.
That should be a no play because you had 3 guys coming together. Here's that World Series Game 1 we were talking about. They just took the air out of the balloon a little bit in their ballpark, but Chase went deep first inning with a man on base, and it was 2-0 just like that. It wound up a 3-2 Phillies win as Cole Hamels won the game. Then in Game 5 here part one of Game 5. There's the double by Shane Victorino down the left field line. This game would have a rather lengthy rain delay, like 2 days. And Chase Utley not playing here tonight. Charlie laid that out really well before the game, saying, look, I've got a chance to get Utley off his feet tonight. Didn't play last night, obviously. And Thursday with the off day and the ALS night. And said they're going to take advantage of doing it.
2 pitch to Rollins on the hands out towards center, not deep, playable for Kipnis, and he makes the catch at shallow center. And 1 out here in the bottom of the first. During the 2013 season, Turkey Hill will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream. Sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs.
He made a point of talking about how he thinks here in this early part of the season to give guys days off, like Utley, Rollins, Howard, Michael Young. If you're going to get anything out of them later in the season, they need to do more of that.
Kevin Franzen takes low, 1 ball and no strikes.
Franzen gives them the ability to do that, as does Freddie Galvis, because they can play some positions.
Yeah, this is the first start of the year for Franzen at second, 5th start overall. Galvis has gotten more of the utility starts for the Phillies so far. Freddie had a pretty good game when he played third base for Michael Young on Sunday against Arizona.
Charlie also felt, as you see in there with Ichiro Kitano, that Franzen hits left-handed pitchers a little better than Freddie is right now, swinging the bat right-handed, and that's why he wanted to play Franzen tonight against Kazmir.
That foul ball got a piece of Carlos Santana. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Dot Davidson of Newark. Phillies hit a home run in tonight's ball game. Then Dot will win $300. Dot, it's not the Powerball or the Mega Millions, but it's still something nice. In the air to left field. Going back on it is Brantley. Back to the track, to the wall. It is gone! Into the flower bed. Kevin Franzen gives the Phils an early lead. And Doc, we've just given you $300. Thanks to the McDonald's home run jackpot. We said it's not the Mega Millions or the Powerball, but it's something.
There's Charlie with a big smile there, too. They just got finished talking about how he wanted to put Franzen, that's a slider that he hits there, a breaking ball. He wanted to put Franzen in the lineup because he thought, well, he may get a good swing against this left-handed pitcher here tonight. See what happens, and he puts one in the flowers.
Jerry Davis signaling home run. Michael Young is the hitter. Young takes low. Young was 0 for 7 against the Indians with 3 strikeouts. He has the most at-bats against Kazmir. Well, Franzen now 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in. Said he hasn't gotten a whole lot of chances, but he took advantage of it right there.
Yeah, he sure does take advantage of his chances too. He sure tries to. Works hard between starts when he pinch hits, which is so hard. It's another thing they like to get him so at bats here tonight.
Two and one the count to Michael Young. Outside 3-1.
So much thought goes into a lineup at nights too. You know, they just don't post a lineup. And he sits there a lot of nights with 2 or 3 lineups on his desk and talks to people about it, tries to figure out matchups. Well, here's a lot less strategy involved in the Nissan keys to tonight's game. Well, how about keep these guys in the ballpark, because that was ridiculous last time. Well, so far so good. 1-0 Phillies on the long ball. Maybe get on that roll that Tom keeps talking about here at home. That one was for you.
8-10 here at Citizens Bank Park.
Well, added 500 and then all of a sudden lost 2 to Miami right before he took off on that road trip.
Ryan Howard is up with a runner at first. Howard was 1 for 18 against the Arizona Diamondbacks, but the one turned out to be a big one. Got a base hit to help the Phils. pick up a 4-2 victory.
Look at it, got ahead in the count, got a fastball away. It sounded like he broke his bat. And Jimmy scored. Chase Utley right behind him. Rollins, Utley, Howard doing something offensively. You have a heck of a chance to win games that way.
Ryan sends it the opposite way. It's not deep, and Brantley, who took a step back, comes in to make the catch. And 2 outs for Delman Young. You might think that Delman Young would have a lot of at-bats against somebody like Kazmir, who's been in the American League for so long, but they were teammates with the Tampa Bay Rays. So he only has 4 at-bats against Kazmir. A little low, 1 ball and no strikes.
Nobody's attempted to run on him at this point. There's one of the reasons why. One of his times, his low time, is 1.18, and that's probably with that slide step he just showed. You're not going anywhere with that.
Drops one in for a strike. It's 1-2. Delman was 4 for 9 in the series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And as the sun peeks through the upper level here at Citizens Bank Park. Ground ball towards shortstop. Nice easy hop for Cabrera. Easy flip to Kipnis. And the side is retired. However, Kevin Franzen has given the Phils the early lead. His second home run of the season, getting the start for Chase Utley just over the fence and into the flower bed. 1-0 Phillies. Business Person Special after the game. A Model Sporting Goods Senior Stroll the Bases. Make your plans now. Come to the ballpark on a gorgeous day. Get your tickets at Phillies.com. Top of the second, Nick Swisher will lead it off. Swisher did not play the last time these two teams faced each other because he had a sore shoulder. Hitting .266 for the year.
Terry Francona thought maybe that was because he was moving in between right field and first base and that the throwing was bothering him.
Well, he drops a single into left center field to lead off the second. Well, it's a special week kicking off here at the ballpark. It's Police Week here in Philadelphia, and the Upper Darby Police Department color guard brought out the American flag, and a very special person in the eyes of Philadelphia folks. Former police officer John Marinowitz got a chance to throw out the first pitch today. Larry Anderson, who's a good friend of John's, caught the first pitch. It was a great sight. Commissioner Charles Ramsey was out there too, and it's all in great taste to honor the police officers from the Philadelphia area. As Carlos Santana takes a strike, it's 0-1. And with more on that, here's Murph with a special guest. Murph?
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Yeah, what a great moment before the game as we watched Officer Marinowitz throw out the first pitch. And I'm here with Risa Furman. She is the District Attorney of Montgomery County, and a big part of not only Police Week, but keeping folks safe in and around Philadelphia, the surrounding counties. Talk about the importance of celebrating this week like we do.
During Police Week, we are honoring the memory of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, those men and women in blue who have laid down their lives so that the rest of us can be safe. And while we pay tribute to them all year long, this week is the week in particular that we honor their memories and honor their service and sacrifice.
There are about 500 folks here at the Phillies game tonight who are celebrating the Heroes in Blue night here at the Phillies game, and you're a part of that. And just another terrific way that not only can we remember these folks, but also help raise money to give back to their families that may need it.
Well, it's so important to remember them and to remember their service. And as you know, down in Washington, D.C. this week, there are 300 more men and women whose names are being etched on the wall at the National Law Enforcement Memorial. But the most important thing we do beyond remembering them is raise money so that we can help support their families, because that's their legacy, to make sure that we can take care of those who they left behind.
And, of course, events really go on all the time in order to remember these folks. You're a big part of a couple of them here in and around Philadelphia. Again, how can people get involved if they like to?
I think the most important thing that people can do is support those charities and support those events that raise money for the families of our fallen police officers. We're here tonight for the kickoff of the Irish Pub Tour de Shore, and that's been something that I've been involved with now for 5 years in Montgomery County. We have a team, Wheels of Justice, but there are many teams. We expect 1,600 riders over the summer, July 29th, riding from the Irish Pub in Philadelphia to Atlantic City, all to raise money to support the families of those who've made the ultimate sacrifice.
And as anybody knows that knows anything about me, I'm also a big part of that foundation. So a great night here. Guys, we'll send it back to you as we watch a nice play by Kevin Franson to keep a run from scoring. Tom, a terrific night here at the ballpark, and it continued throughout the summer to remember these folks.
Absolutely, Murph. We appreciate your thoughts and the thoughts of everyone who's involved in this great cause. As we said, John Marinowitz is near and dear to Larry Anderson's heart. He was injured in a line of duty back in 1993. And it was cool to see Larry out there catching the first pitch tonight and being part of John's special night. There's L.A. He said it was all about soft hands, Wheels. He was able to catch that first pitch because of soft hands.
Right.
Well, with one man down, Michael Brantley's the hitter with runners on second and third. The infield is back, fills up 1-0. And the first pitch is strike. They throw behind Santana at second.
There are a few pitchers I've ever been around that hated a ball hit back at them more than Larry Anderson. Soft hands, yeah, right. Great cause. That's a terrific interview with Risa Furman there and the officer. And you talk about the police, firemen, and what they do for all of us. It's just amazing. Put their life on the line every day. So much appreciated.
There's a strike on the outside corner. 0-2 to Brantley.
These are good hands by Kevin Franson on that play. That's not an easy play to go out there, make that play like that, and then wheel and keep the. With one out, they may have thought of tagging and trying to score on that. Nobody out, no. And he made a tremendous play and then got it right back in.
Yeah, Swisher had gone halfway, so he went back to third. 0-2 the count to Brantley. They go upstairs and the two-seamer floats high. It's 1-2.
One out, Brad Mills is going to get him back there and have him tagged up. But with no out, they're not going to take any chances and let that ball hit the turf. There's Brad, longtime friend and cohort of Terry Francona's, former manager of the Astros, former Phillies coach.
Ground ball toward the middle. Base hit past Franzen. 2 runs are going to wind up scoring. It'll be a 2-run single for Brantley. And another 2-strike hit for the Indians, and they take a 1-run lead.
The only advantage you get playing here is they can't put 9 guys on the lineup. They can really hit. You think about when you're out in Cleveland, they got 9 hitters coming at you. missed his spot a little bit there and was up. And not much chance for Kevin Franson to get to that. It was hit hard.
So the Indians erase the 1-run deficit. They lead it 2-1, and Drew Stubbs is the batter. Stubbs takes a strike. It's 0-1.
You better come prepared to hit when you play these guys for 2 games, because you're not going to get them winning 1-0, 2-1 games with them.
Foul ball, and it's 0-2. Stubbs acquired this offseason from the Cincinnati Reds in the 3-player deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks. We saw some of the pieces that the Diamondbacks received from the Indians and the Reds this past weekend. Stubbs tries to hold up, but he went around, and there are 2 outs.
And Chua we're going to see this weekend with the Reds, and have seen in Cincinnati, was with the Indians for a long time and is doing a tremendous job with the Reds in this league.
Tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television to change the language through the menu on your cable box. 2 outs. Scott Kazmir 1 for 14 for his career, with 6 strikeouts. Will be the hitter, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1.
Something for later in the game. They're only working with a 4-man bench, are the Indians.
And they have Giambi as the lefty, and the other 3 are right-handers. 0-2.
They sent Lonnie Chisenhall out, an infielder, the other day, and added a 3rd pitcher, 3rd left-hander in their bullpen.
Swing and a miss, and Kazmir is rung up for the 3rd strikeout for Pettibone. However, the Indians scored 2 and a 2-run single by Michael Brantley. They lead it by 1. Use your computer, smartphone, or tablet to log on to csnphilly.com. Click on In-Game Live to get in-depth stats and join the social conversation. In-Game Live only at csnphilly.com. So the Indians have taken the lead. We go to the bottom of the 2nd. It'll be Dominic Brown, Carlos Ruiz, and John Mayberry to face Scott Kazmir. Kazmir was late getting out because of the opportunity to bat to end the top of the 2nd, so he's just finishing up his warm-up tosses. You know, he missed all of last year in the big leagues. He pitched an independent ball for Sugarland outside of Houston, was 3-6 with a 5.34 earned run average. That's the same team that Roger Clemens pitched for, you know, when Clemens was thinking about making the comeback with the Astros. He went to Puerto Rico this past offseason, and he had 27 strikeouts in 23 innings, and that's where teams started to take notice that his velocity was coming back.
One time he really threw hard.
Well, his last outing he topped off at 95. Dominic Brown takes a 91-mile-an-hour fastball at the knees. It's 0-1. That one's hit hard. Nice play by Swisher. Wow, on the backhand spinning, and Kazmir maybe a little late to get over. Did get over in time. 3-1 on the putout. I guess that's why he likes playing first base. He throws the leather around pretty well.
Him did a nice job. Love the left-handed thrower to be able to play that position too, and be able to go over to the line, make a good backhand play, and not sure to throw the right field. That's what we were saying last time when the Phillies played. He couldn't play because his shoulder is bad, and Terry Francona said, I don't know if I can keep moving him back and forth from right to first, whether that's a good idea. They were going to see about that.
With one out, here's Carlos Ruiz. He's hitting .300 over his last 6 games. His average now at .200. Still looking for his first home run. Still looking for his first RBI. A liner towards center field. Bourne got a late start, but he's able to scramble back. And there are 2 outs. Now John Mayberry will be the batter. Mayberry was 1 for 3 in the last series against the Indians. See what he did on the road trip. He was 3 for 14. Charlie Manuel stopped short of saying that he was platooning Mayberry and Revere in center, but he may do that a little bit more with Revere starting to hit the ball a little bit better against right-handers. He said it's kind of a feel thing from day to day.
Yeah, especially as hard as this guy throws, he felt this would be the better matchup.
We've got Kevin Franzen in the lineup tonight. Franzen homered. 1-2 the count to Mayberry. Threw him a changeup. Back toward the middle, over the glove of Kazmir. A base hit for Mayberry. 2-out single, the second hit of the night for the Phillies. MLB.com at bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for your iPhone, iPad, mini iPad, your Android, and your BlackBerry 10. At bat delivers Phillies baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Phillies.com for details. Pettibone takes low and away. Pettibone's 1 for 6. Pettibone was taking a strike, so it's 2-1. And a called strike 3. So after he fell behind 2-0, he threw 3 straight fastballs to pick up his first strikeout of the night. Mayberry's left over at first. We've completed our first 2 here in Philadelphia. question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fan section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. Wills, the question is, who replaced Charlie Manuel as the Indians manager in the middle of the 2002 season? Answer will be revealed in the 7th inning. Got a pretty good idea on that one?
I got a guess.
It's always good to have a guess, Wheels, when you're put on a spot with a question.
Some of them really make me nervous.
Charlie spent time in the minor leagues with the Indians. Spent time as the Indians hitting instructor on 2 different occasions, and won the 2001 American League Central Division title. Felt like he left Cleveland without a world championship, and that was difficult for him to swallow because he felt like he had the teams to win a world championship.
Well, they sure did. They won the World Series twice and lost, once to the Braves and once to the then Florida Marlins. Boy, they could hit. Oh, what an unbelievable offensive team they had.
1 ball, 1 strike to Michael Bourne, who struck out his only time up. Ground ball to shortstop. Rollins going to have to hurry on this one. It wasn't hit that hard, and he just gets Michael Bourne. I don't know if Jimmy had the perfect grip on that ball the way he's describing it to Kevin Friends.
Well, it took an extra hop that he didn't want. Here's 1 hop. Now here comes another. Right there, there's another one. And now he just got to pull it out of the glove and throw it. And he didn't have time to look for the seams. And the way it was spinning, he got him a little bit, but that's probably what he's talking to Franson about. Like, I didn't get a hold of that the way I wanted to.
Kipnis flied out to right his first time up. He takes outside.
You watch fielders when they have time, you know, they look in the glove, they turn the ball around, they get the seams, and then they throw it. Sometimes they don't have time.
Outside, 2-0. Kipnis last year had 76 runs batted in and 31 stolen bases for the Indians. Boy, he just does not like that cutter on the outside part of the plate, Brian Knight.
Well, once again behind in the count to a very good hitting team. Not a good way to pitch.
Outside, ball 4. And he issues his first walk.
These American League teams will walk a lot too. That's all part of their MO, to go up and get base runners, score runs, and get pitchers out of the game fast.
Cabrera flied to left his first time up when Pettibone worked a 1-2-3 top of the first. See what they do with Kipnis over at first. He has stolen 6. He's been caught 3 times. Behind the second base bag, Jimmy Rollins is there, and there are 2 outs.
That's a good job by Carlos Ruiz and Pettibone there. That you figure Cabrera's going to go up there and hole hunt for a fastball, try to hit it through the hole on the right side. First ball, fastball, make something happen. They threw him off speed there. Watch how far out in front. See if it's a changeup. You see the way he choked it. And he gets way out in front of it and pops it up, just shaking his head because he really thought he was going to get fastball to hit.
Well, instead, 2 outs as Ruiz get a chance to catch Pettibone again.
Now, if he's going to run, this is when they'll think about stealing second with 2 outs. So Mick Billmeyer probably sent a throw in over there, just thinking that all right, they probably aren't going to run with the hole open and 1 out, but now with 2 outs they may go. And there's Mick, gives the signs of Carlos Ruiz, the running game on the running game.
Swisher this offseason signed a 4-year contract with the Indians. He had some successful years with the Yankees. He's also been with the White Sox and the A's. There goes the runner. Pitch is taken outside. A throw to second is not in time. kind of sailed a little bit to the shortstop side of second.
Well, something slow too. It looked like it took a long time to get there. They guessed right too on what pitch to run on. It's a good running situation. Carlos has to reach for it and then throw an off-speed pitch. All those things make it more likely a guy will steal the bag.
At the knees, and it's 1-2, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
All part of the guessing game that goes on over there with a base stealer and the first base coach on what pitch they think the guy may throw. Because if it's something off speed and they think that kind of count, they're more likely to run.
That ball got him right in the foot. And Swisher's hit by a pitch. It's the second batter Pettibone's hit by a pitch this year. And that'll put runners on first and second.
I think a breaking ball. You talk about a back foot slider. That's probably what that was. That's the ultimate back foot slider. It hit it. Trouble shaking that off.
It's pointing right to the big toe.
He smiles a lot. Always has.
Santana doubled down the left field line his first time up.
Boy, is this guy a good hitter.
That was his 11th double of the year.
Go along with 7 homers.
He is a .407 hitter with runners in scoring position.
Pretty good hitter.
See Pettibone splits. He's up to 50 pitches. And he pulls it foul. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. And Rachel pass off that souvenir to that youngster wearing that cap that everybody received today. Teva Respiratory Asthma Awareness Night here at the ballpark. All fans coming to the yard. Receive that cap you saw that youngster wearing. And he hit him. So he's hit back-to-back hitters. And that'll load the bases up here in the third.
Hit them both with breaking balls too. It doesn't make them any happier, but you know they're not hitting with fastballs. There's another cutter or slider, and it just comes right in on him and hits him.
So Kipnis is at third. Swisher wanders to second, and Santana's at first for Mark Reynolds. Rich Doobie out to the mound. It could be kind of unsettling for a young pitcher when he hits 2 batters and then has to deal with somebody like Reynolds, who is the Indians' leader in home runs with 11.
And part of the message here is even though you're having trouble controlling your cutter to left-handed hitters,
so have to throw it.
Might not be a bad idea to throw it to this guy and stay away from him. He can hit it out of any park, anywhere, but he pulls off, and you're better off trying to get him out of the way a lot of times.
So the bases are loaded. Mark Reynolds popped out to Kevin Franz at his first time up. And he takes a little low. It's 1-0. Another one of the free agent acquisitions the Indians made this offseason. And it's paid off. On the inside corner with a fastball. It's 1-1.
He's back playing third base, too. He was a third baseman for a lot of years with Arizona.
Yeah, they sent Lonnie Chisenhall out, so that opened up a spot for Reynolds over at third.
You can strike this guy out with the best of them, but don't miss, because he can hit him a mile. Especially mule strong. He is. Needs to make a pitch now. He's ahead in the count. You don't want him to get even at 2-2. Get him right now.
outside. He almost offered at it. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, it was a ball out of his hand. That was the only problem, you know. Or he'll chase if that had been closer to the plate.
Tried the fastball in and it missed in, and now the runners will be off with the bases loaded. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. There they go, and he loops that one down the right field line. Howard on the run, and he can't get it. It's a foul ball. Boy, was that fortunate for the Phillies. Iasonia was there to make the call. The first base umpire.
I would have cleared him. He's got to come out and argue.
And his body was it looked like it was in fair territory.
He has a great look at this, does Iasonia. So hard to tell. It looks like his glove and the ball is in foul territory. Yeah. And if it is, it's a foul ball. You see his whole body's in fair territory, but it does look like the ball and the glove are in foul territory.
It's a calm discussion that's going on down the first base line.
Look, Dan Iasonia does a great job following it. He's under control. You know, it's hard to tell right there, but it does look like his hand is over the line, and so is the baseball. And it'd be hard to get a better view of it than the umpire had. Good job by him.
We talk about umpires moving down the line a little bit and getting a better look. That's what he did.
Great job.
3-2, 2 outs. The runners will go. Here's the pitch. On the hands, out towards shallow center. Franzen is there, makes the call, and Pettibone works out of a jam here in the 3rd. No runs. There were no hits, but he walked a batter and hit 2 batters. The Indians leave him loaded, and we'll leave for the top of the order after this. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. Buy W.B. Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. And buy Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places.
I know we already had our Dodge Stump the Fans tonight. That'll be fun to try and guess later. But how about that one we saw in their notes tonight? When Kazmir pitched against the Phillies in 2006, he threw back-to-back home runs in the 2nd inning. Name who those players were, and Scott Fransky came up with it.
Do you think he read the notes, or do you think he knew it off the top of his head? He's still young, Wheels. He still has his wits about him.
That was a good one.
It was again. Sal Fasano and Abraham Nunez.
Yeah, those are 2 guys you think of right away, right? Abraham Nunez and Sal Fasano, back to back.
That's the only start in the regular season Kazmir's had against the Phils. He went 5 innings that day, allowed 6 hits. He did strike out 9. And then he had the 2 appearances against the Phillies in the World Series. Rollins fouls it away. It's 0-2.
Well, he does have a little hop on his fastball. He's throwing breaking ball and changeup along with it. And he looks like a guy that thinks he can compete right now. He's working really fast, and he looks like he has a clue.
Rollins shoots it foul.
And he's not throwing a lot of balls down the middle of the plate right now, and that's what you have to hope he'll start doing.
Well, his last outing, he wound up striking out 10. And that's the outing that we mentioned. He topped off at 95 miles an hour. 1-2. And Rollins rips it foul. Oh. That zipped on past everyone. The ball was hit hard.
Real hard.
Marcy did everything she could to try to corral that.
And saw that it was a foul ball, too.
Rollins down on strike. Second strikeout for Kazmir. One away. Kevin Franzen coming up. Phillies will say goodbye to the Indians very quickly after tomorrow's Citizens Bank Business Person Special. An off day on Thursday. And then the Cincinnati Reds come to town for a 3-game series. 7:05, 4:05, and 1:35. That floppy hat will be given out to fans 14 and under on Sunday. It's Wistar Institute Melanoma Awareness Day, presented by Independence Blue Cross and Citizens Bank. Tickets are available at Phillies.com.
Phillies are 0 for Ohio right now.
It's got to change eventually, doesn't it?
I think so. I hope so. 2 left with these guys and 3 with the Reds. I mean, 1 with these guys and 3 with the Reds, so we'll see.
You are right, though. Kazmir's working quickly.
You can tell when the ball's coming out of his hand well, and he's not throwing it down the middle. And when they work fast like this, they want to pitch. They have a feel that they like what they're doing out there, and they're not out there just second guessing themselves, looking in at the catcher. They're not sure what they want to go, where they want to go.
Oh, and he hit Franzen on the arm. Now the Phillies hit 2 batters, and Franzen just called time right before the last pitch from Kazmir. But it looked like it hit him right on that elbow guard that he has.
Yeah, watch. Well, it does hit him right there. And Kazmir's reaction is, well, pitchers will act sometimes, but he certainly acted as if he didn't mean to do that. And who knows? Normally, in a 1-run game in the 3rd inning with the middle of the order coming up, you don't hit somebody. That's not a good time. In this league, you can hit the pitcher. In their league, you can't.
Franzen with a smile on his face as he takes his lead off first. Michael Young takes outside. Young walked his first time up. Toyota Major League scoreboard. The Reds are all over the Marlins. 6-1. Zach Cozart is a double and 2 runs scored. Homer Bailey, who will pitch Sunday, is pitching for the Reds. And Ricky Nolasco is pitching for the Marlins. Kazmir's fallen behind most of the hitters.
Yeah, that's one thing they haven't made him pay. And the Pettibone's been falling behind, and they got him a little bit.
Out towards shortstop. That's going to be 2. Kipnis had a little trouble getting it out of his glove, and it's not 2. It goes off the glove of Swisher, and Michael Young will pull in the second.
Well, a big break there because that's a double play ball, obviously, off the bat of Michael Young, a hard one hopper right at the shortstop. Swisher, I think he's a little upset with himself. He doesn't do a better job of making sure that this isn't 2 bases. Yeah, he stretches, he gets himself caught a little bit in between there. And he not only doesn't catch it, it gets away where you can get a runner into scoring position. So you see him shaking his head that he doesn't feel he did a very good job with that.
Well, that'll be an error charge to the second baseman Kipnis, his 3rd of the year. Ryan Howard 0 for 1. He flied to left his first time up. Got a fastball and he fouls it away.
Phillies are not a patient hitting team, so even though he gets ahead of them, they haven't been able to do a whole lot. And you notice a difference in the Indians, an American League team. They walk a lot. Many teams over there do that.
Up high, they'll appeal. No appeal granted. It's 1-2. Home plate umpire doesn't have to ask for help if he doesn't think he needs it. You can ask for an appeal.
Well, they should see that one that's up a lot better than they can see the one that's down.
And Howard waves at a fastball. And that's the third strikeout for Kazmir. No runs, no hits. One man left in scoring position. We've completed our first 3 in this interleague matchup. Indians up by 1. Of Green Mountain Coffee. K-Cups delivered in all the flavors you love. By who? But W.B. Mason. 2-1 Indians. We move to the top of the 4th. Michael Brantley, Drew Stubbs, Scott Kazmir are due up. Indians with 2 runs on 3 hits. The Phillies 1 run on 2 hits. And Brantley has the 2 RBIs. He singled on a 2-strike pitch. His first time to the plate. Pettibone falls behind. It's 1 ball and no strikes.
Having some control problems. Got to start getting that fastball where he needs to.
He throws the changeup there in the inner half, and it's 1-1.
I didn't think any of those pitches he threw in were on purpose. Just kind of got away from him a little bit.
How about the one that Kazmir threw at Franzen?
On purpose.
Let's just lay it out there. I thought so too. I mean, I guess it's understandable in this day and age.
See exactly where the next pitch was, right where normally he has too good a control. You hit 2 of their players. The players, they're going to want you to retaliate, but you got to give them a lot of credit, though. You respect somebody that when they come in near the shoulder as opposed to throwing it up near the head area. You don't want anybody to get hurt that way.
It's 2-2 to Brantley. 7-8-9 for the Indians. And Brantley hits it toward first. Ryan Howard stays down on it. One out. Drew Stubbs is due up. Pettibone got Stubbs on strikes his first time.
count in on this guy sooner or later. Stubbs will probably be a leadoff hitter. Guy has good speed.
He rips that one to left field. Dominic Brown going back is there. And there are 2 outs. Well, they have the luxury of having Michael Bourne for the next few years. So, you know, as Bourne gets older, maybe they move him down to the 2-hole. But for now, he can be the leadoff hitter that enables Stubbs to bat somewhere else in the lineup when he's in the lineup.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Rayburn, you've got Swisher that can play the outfield. So for Stubbs, he's going to have to hit his way into this lineup on a consistent basis, and he has recently. He's hitting over 300. Kazmir out to left. Dominic Brown puts it away, and that was a much-needed, easy inning for Jonathan Pettibone. Just 8 pitches to get through the top of the 4th. We move to the bottom of the 4th inning here in Philadelphia. Delman Young is due to lead it off for the Phillies. Is brought to you by Nissan. Sign and drive today only during Nissan's Sign and Drive event. Shop at ChooseNissan.com. By Citizens Bank, where good banking is good citizenship. Is it a time you experience good banking? And by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Well, it's turned out to be a nice night here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
As we go to the bottom of the 4th. 2-1, Indians on top. Scott Kazmir will face Delman Young, Dominic Brown, and Carlos Ruiz. 5, 6, and 7 for the Phillies. Well, this is not the last interleague series for the Phillies here at Citizens Bank Park. The Boston Red Sox will be here Wednesday the 29th, Thursday the 30th. Both games are at 7:05. Wednesday, all fans 14 and under receive the W.B. Mason Phillies collectible truck. Get your tickets at Phillies.com. Delman Young waves at a changeup, 0-1. Phillies are 1-4 in interleague games so far. We were commenting on how quickly Kazmir's working.
Well, he is. He's a fast worker. Doesn't have the stuff, however, that he used to have. This guy's been hurt quite a bit throughout his career. Used to throw his fastball a lot harder.
Well, that one was at 93. He topped up at 95 in his last outing, so he still has some juice.
Breaking ball. Those are the kind of left-hand change-up. Those are the kind of left-handers, though, when they're coming over the top, they're just fun to hit. The ones that have that automatic cut and the movement on it, like Jerry Koosman, very difficult.
Ground ball, softly hit. One out. Here's Dominic Brown from Citizens Bank Park here in Philadelphia. Along Gary Matthews, I'm Tom McCarthy. Wheels is here, so is Murph. Phillies and the Indians, game 1 of 2. Indians scored 2 in the second on a base hit by Michael Brantley. That was after the Phillies took a 1-0 lead on a home run by Kevin Franzen.
Charlie playing on another hunch with Franson in the lineup and delivering.
Dominic Brown lifts it to shallow center, and he's aboard with a 1-out single. He's hit in 5 straight now.
He's starting to look better at the plate, and it's a work in progress. One thing you do like, he does stay in there against left-handed pitching.
It's safe to say that he's the least of the Phillies' offensive issues.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, no. I think for sure though that he's going to, get better in terms of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Already you can see his fielding has gotten a lot better in left field. I think that has a lot to do with him knowing that he's going to be in the lineup.
Want to know the count to Ruiz. Carlos takes that change up for a strike, 1-1. Charlie talked today about Carlos Ruiz and Delman Young. Since they came back, he was asked where he thinks they are, and he said he thought Delman, was getting there. He still thinks Carlos swings a little long, but he feels like he'll be fine.
Right, well, I felt that for sure. Ruiz, for me, has kind of shortened it up the last couple of days. I feel that way simply because he's starting to make solid contact.
Takes high, ball 4, 2 on, 1 out.
And with Delman Young for sure, you could see and tell, and even in batting practice, the way that his stroke is, and he's just a more accomplished hitter, so he kind of knows what he wants to do. It's going to take a lot longer for both those guys simply because you're not facing major league pitching when you're down there in the minor league. There's a big difference from the night games, and not only that, even playing the day games. And keep in mind, again, some of the pitchers that they face here, they're familiar with them, where in the minor leagues, you are not.
All right, well, coming into tonight, Ruiz had 40 at-bats. Delman had 33. So I guess if you're thinking a normal spring training schedule, there are about 70 at-bats before they're ready to go.
Delman Young said it the other day that, hey, this is kind of like spring training games here for me, even though he's kind of gotten all the kinks out from being sore.
Mayberry takes away 1-0.
Yeah, once you get here, keep in mind the pitchers, they're pinpoint controlled now. Able to get the breaking ball over when they want to. Velocity should be right about where they want. So a hitter coming in that's been on the DL, he's going to have some time to catch up to them.
Back-to-back changeups. It's 1-1 to Mayberry.
Now he runs out of bat quite a bit, which means that for me, a little bit far from the plate. And once he starts that swing, especially something all speed or a right-hander throwing away, just not able to reach it.
Well, he reached that one, and he lines it toward left center field. Bourne's not going to get it. A one-hop off the wall. 1 run scores. Ruiz is being waved home. He's going to score. It's a 2-run double for Mayberry, and the Phillies take the lead. That was a pretty sweet swing by John Mayberry.
Yeah, give these Indians something to think about there. See that ball, though, the difference up in the zone, and he made them actually play. You can see how he kind of hesitated on the swing a little bit there, recognizing that it was a changeup. Rhino bringing him in all the way, driving in 2 runs with that double. That's what it's all about.
So Pettibone doesn't square to move the runner over third because there's 1 out. He takes a strike. It's 0-1. Well, Mayberry's now 2 for 2.
Yeah. When he gets his back against the wall a lot of times, he comes out there swinging. Plus, left-handed pitching, he feels a lot more comfortable anyway.
Is it a platoon now, you think, with Revere, or do you think it's just spotting Mayberry some games here and there?
Well, that's the way it's been going. It's been a platoon situation. A lot of times Charlie doesn't want to say it. That ball hit into an empty seat. Just a rocket as it goes into the stands. Late swing by Pettibone. You know, and the other thing is Charlie leaves himself open that if one guy gets hot, hey, he'll be able to maybe stay in that position without just saying it's a complete platoon system where, you know, left-handed Mayberry will be playing, right-handed Ben Revere would be playing.
1-2 the count to Pettibone. Outside, 2-2. Casimir wanted those last two pitches.
One thing for sure, Mayberry gives you a lot more power. So therefore, he can drive in runs the way that we just saw him do. And Ben Revere has a different type game. His game would be more scoring runs as opposed to knocking them in.
A reminder from Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Designated driver.
Good swing.
This will be an 8-pitch at bat for Pettibone, and now Casimir asked Santana to go through the signs. He's about to throw his 74th pitch of the night.
He's making a pitch. Looking at Kyle Kendrick in that shot there. I mean, it really looks and feels like he belongs.
Chopper toward third. Casimir makes the play. It was a long at bat. The result, a 1-3 put out. Rudder at second with 2 away for the top of the order. Nice round of applause from the fans, recognizing that at bat for Pettibone. Philadelphia got a taste for winning, and the fans are hungry for more. Join Amy Fadul and a panel of experts to discuss how to get Phillies teams back to their winning ways. Watch Recipe for Success, a 4-night series tonight at 10:30, only on Comcast Sportsnet. We live Philly sports. Well, a trip out to the mound to kind of settle Casimir in a little bit. Brian Knight heading out to the mound to break up this conversation. Carlos Ruiz scored the go-ahead run after walking. That followed Dominic Brown's base hit. Then the 2-run double from Mayberry. Now Rollins 0 for 2. Popped out, struck out. And off the end of the bat, a little floater out to shallow left center. Cabrera makes the catch, and that'll do it for the bottom of the 4th. But the Phillies take the lead on a 2-run double from John Mayberry. John is now 2 for 2. Got a pitch that was up, and he drove it to left center field. A one hop off the wall that brought home Dominic Brown and Carlos Ruiz. Michael Bourne will lead it off as we go to the top of the 5th inning for the Indians. Bourne is 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded out. And he takes outside. So now Jonathan Pettibone will work with the lead for the 2nd time tonight. It's a pretty good off-speed pitch right there. Bourne way out in front. And it's 1-1.
Needs a shutdown inning. Keep that momentum on your side. Haven't had many of those this year.
At a play down the left field line.
Pettibone starting to spot that fastball in better places. That one up and in.
That's a pretty good pitch. Michael Young along the line makes the catch.
Yeah, that's a great pitch. Hit her off balance. That's what you want to do. That's what the pitcher's trying to actually do. Take a look at it. This is an off balance swing right here. Take foot down. You see how he's just coming off that ball there. Can't get much on it at all. Nice out.
Well, Pettibone's retired the Indians in order twice tonight. Once in the 1st, once in the 4th. Every time the Phillies do that to the opposition, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball brought to you by Xfinity. Your home for the most live sports, giving you all your favorite sports all year long. Kipnis walked his last time. Chopper to short. Nice hop for Rollins.
Those quick innings, quick ground balls, that always preserves pitchers. Sure, they like that strikeout, but those ground balls, Greg Maddux used to talk about it all the time. He'd rather have those, because again, that's done on one pitch.
Well, Pettibone had an 8-pitch 4th inning, and this one's gone pretty quickly. He has Cabrera now to deal with. He's 0 for 2. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Not a bad spot.
Surprised here too, though. 223 average for Cabrera. No, he's a better hitter than that. No, with his setup, I mean, you almost can tell. I mean, sooner or later he's going to heat up. And the key is that you can't get it all back in one day. That's why it's so important to know that strike zone. I mean, there might be one day when you have to walk 3 or 4 times. I think you have to recognize whether or not a pitcher wants to pitch to you or not.
Pettibone's got to get over to cover. Howard flips it gently to first. And it's a 10-pitch inning. 3-1 on the putout. 18 pitches the last 2 innings for Pettibone. Kevin Franzen, Michael Young, and Ryan Howard when we return.
everyone's frustrated as well as us. We're frustrated too when we don't score as many runs as I think or we think we should. But the whole point in baseball, you got to stick with it.
Following tomorrow's ball game, Philly Sports Talk with Michael Marquardt. You'll see that part 2 of his interview with Chase Utley. Hope you enjoyed part 1. Chase opens up a little bit about not only this being a contract year for him, but also about the expectations for the ball club as we move forward here in 2013. Chase getting tonight off after having an off day yesterday. He'll be in the lineup tomorrow. He is as intense an individual as you will ever come across in the world of sports. So anytime you get a chance to get him to open up a little bit, I mean, we have because we're with him often.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good thing.
Well, this who was in there, Franson, playing second base tonight as he gets the fighting field right on the scoring board, too.
And then Franson was hit by pitches last time. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, I can understand why they feel not scoring enough runs. Well, a lot of times without the pitchers even saying it, just really walking around like, hey guys, you want to score me any runs? Am I going to have to like pitch a shutout here tonight?
He's hit by a pitch again. That was a breaking pitch. That time.
That one I don't think was on purpose. That was a slider.
Oh, with Kevin Franzen's home run, and for each one hit by a Phillies player this year, 1 tree will be planted by the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society as part of Home Runs for Trees, a partnership between the Phillies, PHS, and Aramark. Home Runs for Trees is part of Plant 1 Million, a project to restore the region's tree coverage. For more information, visit phillies.com/red goes green.
I think more so the frustrating part would be not playing well at home. I mean, you want to really play well at home, even if you can't win there on the road. You can't have teams coming in and just beating you up here in your own house. And this is payback, too, for the Cleveland Indians.
Carlos Santana got hit with that ball after it hit Franzen.
Well, I'll tell you, anytime, though, that ball ricochets, no telling where it would actually go. All that padding, however, they're well protected. Got to start to play a little bit better at home. Only 8-10. Should really be the other way, or even more victories you should have at home.
Michael Young stays alive.
That's too how you get a lot of respect. Instead of teams coming in and wanting to get here really early, you give them a reason not to by the way that you're playing at home.
Ryan, thanks for signing my ball in Clearwater.
Got a lot of opportunities. That gentleman is a guy about 20 feet down from him that made a heck of a catch earlier. And whoop. Oh.
Well, and guess what? Fans gave it to him. Doesn't matter if you're on the field or not. When a ball comes in, you miss it, you get booed.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how he looks at it, there's a good chance he's going to be on the fans' plays of the year, because there's a not so positive plays of the year intertwined.
Oh, so you're just saying for getting booting the ball right there. He's made other plays?
No. I'm saying that when we do the fans' plays of the year, we're going to mix in some misses too.
No, you don't want him on there for missing the ball, do you?
Sergeant, you've seen them the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I know, but you know what? It doesn't make you feel good. You want the good catches. That's what you want, the one-hand catches.
All right, here we go. Let's see if we got anything here. Now that one may have slid under the Hall of Fame.
Just going to remind you of something bad that happened at the game when it hit your hand. You're not able to catch it. Plus, that gentleman had two hands that appeared on it and kind of let it slip through his hands.
In his defense. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a significant drop in front of him that could be imposing.
Right with you. I mean, I'm not getting on him at all about it.
That's a pretty good drop off.
Yeah. Well, he didn't actually lean on it at all.
Are they talking to each other, you think?
Well, I'm sure that they're probably getting a few calls. But I've dropped a couple balls in my days, and it doesn't make you feel good no matter where you are, Tony. Let me tell you, depending on who's on base.
Michael Young takes outside. This is a heck of an at-bat. It's 3-2.
Yeah, most of those pitches have been all away. See whether or not he's going to come inside as that pitch count starts to mount.
Franzen goes. The ball flared out to center. Franzen doesn't see it, and here Bourne makes a sliding catch, and Kevin will be easily doubled up. And there you go. A 9-pitch at bat. 8-4-3 on the double play. Was he duped?
It's a little strange.
I didn't know if he was duped.
Well, I mean, he's got to be able to hear the ball make contact, take a look at it as he's going. Now he's looking. I know he just feels that he's not going to catch it. Well, Michael Bourne has a lot of speed. That was just guessing and guessing wrong. Don't quite know what to say about the base running this year.
I thought he had it. I mean, just from watching it, I thought maybe his head was down and he wasn't looking, but he was looking.
Well, we'll have to ask him for that, because he certainly knew that it was nobody out, because he was the first hitter. I mean, he really took off like the ball was in the gap. That's strange.
Ryan Howard struck out his last time up, flied to left his first time.
Yeah, I tell you, that Utley has that base running at second base messed up. Nobody can run him over there. He's had 2 blunders himself.
Broken bat. Looper over the head of Reynolds and into left center field.
Wow.
For years, StubHub has been the place to find great Phillies tickets, and this season you can get more with your tickets thanks to StubHub Fan Rewards. So get to StubHub and grab your seats today. There's Delman Young, and Young hits one back toward the middle, knocked down by Kazmir, and the side is retired. So the Phillies get a couple of base runners, but can't muster a rally. Michael Young, he's going to get charged with another double play. This one a little different. And this gentleman's going to get charged, well, with a little bit of a drop. Changer of the week is feeling energized in the month of May. The cleanup hitter in the Phillies lineup is doing just that as we move through the second month of the season. Ryan Howard's damaging swing was dormant early on, but the power has returned, and the run production is the end result. Since the middle of April, his average has been well above 300, and the home runs are beginning to pile up. A big high five to the Big Piece for his current success, and it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross, changing the game. Well, the Fanatic getting a chance to entertain the crowd with the Villanova cheerleading squad in between innings as we move to the top of the 6th inning. Fanatics out of sync just by a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a little. Nick Swisher starts things off, and he lines one to left field, and it drops in front of Dominic Brown for a base hit. And that'll bring Carlos Santana to the plate. Let's check in with Murph with the Major League Notebook. Murph.
All right, T-Mac, brought to you by Gwinnett Mercy College. And Curtis Granderson is making his season debut tonight. The Yankees outfielder is starting in left field and batting cleanup for the Bronx Bombers. Granderson has been out of action since he was hit by a pitch in spring training and broke his wrist. Currently, he is 0 for 2 for the Yankees tonight. And guys, Bryce Harper back in the notebook as well tonight because he has a tendency to run into walls, and he ran into one again last night. Fortunately, wasn't too hurt. He got some stitches in his chin. He also suffered a bruised shoulder. He is listed as day-to-day for the Washington Nationals, but no serious concussion or anything like that. So that's good news for Bryce Harper.
Well, it's good news for Bryce Harper, but we've seen the last 4 or 5 days, 2 different outfielders have very little regard for their bodies when it comes to the outfield wall. Bryce Harper and Shane Victorino.
Yeah.
Who I am stunned that Shane did not get hurt the other day in that game in Boston.
Likewise. I mean, I'm amazed that, both of them. I think the memo needs to go out and let them know that warning track is for a reason.
There's a 6-4-3 double play as Franzen hangs in there with Swisher barreling down on him.
This kid has gotten better as the game has gone on, and you see that double play.
Well, he got a base runner and then gets the double play ground ball. And Murph, that seems to be something that he's worked. He's been working with during his time in the big leagues.
Yeah, it does seem like Jonathan Pettibone gets himself into jams, but it seems like he almost always gets himself out of those jams as well. And it was something Michael Young was talking to reporters about today in the locker room in the clubhouse. And he was just asked about his thoughts about Jonathan Pettibone. He says he thinks he almost thrives off the fact that when he's in trouble, he kind of bears down and he feeds off of that. And he's able to get himself out of trouble. And we saw a little bit of that tonight.
Well, I think we've all noticed. And we saw Jonathan in spring training one time this year. We've all noticed since he's been called up that that's what you see right there. Yep. And there's no change at all in his body language. And that's a good thing for a young pitcher to show.
Well, you got to have that. That's what he's showing confidence. And again, coming up here and not tearing it up down there in the minor leagues to come up and do the job and giving the team a lift. You want that. Don't be walking guys though.
Couple of close pitches, and it's a 2-out walk. Michael Brantley's coming up.
A lot of times you end up looking at pitchers that are coming up or hitters to see whether or not they're overmatched at all. It has not been the case with Pettibone. He's been holding his own and pitching against some pretty tough clubs. San Francisco, for one of them, pitching very well. And right now we've seen what this club can do to pitchers.
Michael Brantley is 1 for 2. He has a 2-run single. That was his first time up. Takes outside 1-0.
This guy here too. That ball up the middle. Brantley's singling in 2 runs. I tell you, these guys just keep on coming.
Cardinals shutting out the Mets 3-0. Alan Craig has a couple of RBIs. That game's in the bottom of the 2nd.
Ball not hit very hard by Brantley. They got up the middle, but again, it shows you when you're looking to try and hit the ball up the middle. And when they do, it doesn't have to be hit hard in order to get hits.
There's a pop-up, foul territory, third base side. Michael Young makes the catch. And Pettibone has some base runners, works out of any kind of a jam, potential jam here in the 6th. That'll take us to the bottom of the 6th. Plus Ford stores. Go further. By Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals. Call 1-800-JEFF now for an appointment. And by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. 3-2. Phillies up as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Dominic Brown, Carlos Ruiz, and John Mayberry are the scheduled hitters against Scott Kazmir. The Indians have bullpen action. The Phillies have bullpen action. Cody Allen is warming up for the Indians. And Chad Durbin up for the Phillies. Dominic Brown tries to lay off a breaking pitch. They appeal. No swing. Phillies are most likely, we weren't sure, we weren't told before the ball game, most likely without Mike Adams tonight. That ball is drilled deep to right field. Forget about it. Gone! A solo home run for Dominic Brown.
Wow.
His 7th of the year, and the Phillies lead it by 2.
I got to tell you, the impressive thing about that home run, too, against that left-hander, he has good at bat. We talked about that earlier. You know, and again, solid at bats he's been having, staying right in there on him. Take a look at it, and boy, and that ball out over the plate a little bit as he goes out and drills that ball, showing you some power here. Here it is again. Oh, boy. He knew it was gone anyway. Take a look at his swing there. Bam! Just tied Utley there for the team lead in home runs. Boy, he's starting to get I have to talk to him about a little home run trot, you know. If he's going to start hitting them out, might as well start to get in a good trot.
Well, Scott Kazmir's trot will take him to the dugout. It's an AT&T call to the bullpen here in Philadelphia. The Phillies lead it by 2. Box score. The Phillies have hit a couple home runs tonight. It began with Kevin Franzen's first at-bat when he homered. And then, of course, Dominic Brown, who has 2 hits, 2 runs scored. And he just left the ballpark and sent Scott Kazmir to the showers. So the Phillies are on top 4-2 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And the new pitcher for the Indians is right-hander Cody Allen, who just concluded his warm-up tosses. Allen 1-0, an ERA of 2.76. 20 strikeouts in 16 1/3. He was first called up last year by the Indians. And he throws a first pitch fastball upstairs, 1-0. Carlos fouls it back.
There's that timing issue, fastball there. Carlos just a little bit late. And when he's going good, that same pitch, he'll get it down a little bit. It'll be a lot easier to be able to handle. Tough to hit that high pitch.
Same thing.
Yeah, a little bit late. Oh, that's, again, coming back. It's going to take you a little bit of time there to get that swing together. Yeah, a lot of times you'll come back, get a few quick hits, but overall, I mean, it's that consistency. Hitting the ball to right, up the middle, to left. Ooh.
Well, he gets a breaking pitch, and Ruiz is called out on strikes for the first out. Well, speaking of the Cleveland Indians, we take a look at a Mazda leaderboard. And the Indians, since the Phillies last saw them, have put together the best record in major leagues. It's 16-6. Terry Francona's team has done that with a combination of solid pitching and offense, whereas the Cardinals have done it. They've had offense, there's no doubt, but they've done it basically with pitching.
Really?
Mayberry chops it foul. The Hall of Fame hands of Ryan Sandberg in the third base coach's box.
Takes a lot of pride in his work. Gifted teammate, gifted athlete. Made things easy for you. Had a lot of fun being able to play on the same team with him.
What made him such a gifted teammate, Ryan Sandberg?
Well, besides him being the MVP that particular year, he's good at everything. He's almost a scratch golfer. He was going to be a quarterback on the football team. The only thing maybe he can't play is a little basketball. I have to ask him about that.
Mayberry lifts it to shallow center. Bourne comes in.
But I think one of the reasons, though, for Sandberg is that he's a perfectionist. Everything he does, he tries to do to the best of his ability. And he's a player that, when he first came up, everything didn't come easy. He had to work to get to the point where he is, and he's a hard worker. He's one of the few guys I've seen when you have a sprained ankle, you put your foot in this bucket of ice. He can keep it in there as long as anybody I've ever seen. I got it in there maybe 2 minutes or 2 seconds. But just goes to show you, though, a guy that's able to play with pain, and obviously, a Hall of Famer. Practical joker.
Outside 1-1. It's interesting that you gauge toughness on how long you can put your foot in a bucket of ice.
You want to try that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm in his category. Broke his bat, ground ball to second. Kipnis throws out Pettibone, and that'll do it for the Phillies here in the bottom of the 6th. Well, Scott Kazmir gave up 2 home runs tonight. The last one sent him to the bench. The Phillies with a 2-run lead.
Well, time now for your local Honda dealers game summary. See the Indians with the 2 runs on Michael Brantley's 2-run single up the middle. Scott Kazmir went 5+ out of the ball game right now. Gave up a couple of home runs. Sean Mayberry Jr. with a big 2-run double, and Jonathan Pettibone will pitch into the 7th inning. One of the keys of the game tonight was stop the home run derby by the Indians. So far, so good.
Yeah, Phillies have hit 2 solo home runs tonight. That means they have 16 straight solo home runs. And Pettibone gets a ground ball off the bat of Stubbs for the first out here in the 7th inning. And Will, since the 4th, Pettibone has been able to get some very early outs.
Yeah, and that's a good thing too. You know, you keep your pitch count down, keeps you in the game a little bit longer. If you can get guys swinging early. And Phillies had the bullpen up with right and left with Durbin and Bastardo. One of the things that I've been impressed with tonight is he's gotten some key outs on off-speed pitches where he's really gotten guys to jump at stuff. And, you know, you get him off your fastball a little bit that way.
Here's Ryan Rayburn to pinch hit. You see what he did in the 2 games against the Phillies. He was 7 for 9. He was working on back-to-back multi-home run games during that series. 0-1 the count.
He was a little bit ridiculous in that series.
Yeah, he's hitting .316 overall with 4 home runs. And he lines one to right field, down the line, slicing foul.
Mentioned they only have 4 moves off the bench tonight. One of them is a backup catcher. So here's the first one.
These lucky fans are tonight's Citizens 7. They'll receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank with most 7-day branches in the Philadelphia area. To find a branch near you, visit citizensbank.com.
They're going to go right back into American League play after these 2 games. So they come in here with a 4-man bench, knowing that they're only going to have to worry about it for a couple days and hope they can get through it.
Terry, get rid of the sweatshirt, Wills.
Yeah, well, the game's getting a little tense, so it's getting a little warm down there.
0-2 the count to Rayburn. Ground ball to short again. That one hit a little sharper. And Rollins throws him out. 2 outs.
He's really enjoying being back in the game with a different team, different organization. He has a lot of friends in the Cleveland organization. One of the reasons why he decided to get back into going back down on the field and managing, because he hadn't made. He was up here. He never lost a game up here that I can remember. So
or never felt like he lost a game.
No, nothing up here. Just throw it out there. Here comes Charlie, and that's going to be it for Pettibone.
It's interesting. He's got 2 outs and a 2-run lead. He does have the left-hander Michael Bourne, who's due up. Well, he got 2 easy outs.
Yeah, they were easy, but they were rockets, both of them, too. They were hit right on the nose. So they just decide they're going to go with the left-hander here to Bourne, and then they have a right-hander from Kipnis, and they feel they got the most out of Pettibone, I guess.
Well, Pettibone gets a great round of applause as he exits Citizens Bank Park, and rightfully so. The young man did a whale of a job.
Night. He really did a good job, as Tom said, through 6 and 2/3 innings, just 4 hits. See him getting some strikeouts here. He uses off-speed stuff well. Jammer right there on Reynolds with the bases loaded after a long at bat. That was a big out. He's had some double play balls, had some ground balls, quick outs. There's a changeup right there that he got a double play on. Good job by Kevin Francis to get out of the way. And comes out and gets him with 2 outs here in the 7th inning. They go left, and hope to get out of the inning and then see where they go from there.
Well, for Jonathan Pettibone, it's the longest outing of his major league career. 6 2/3, 4 hits, and 3 strikeouts. And Antonio Bastardo will take over for him as Michael Bourne will walk back to the plate. Bastardo 1-1, an earned run average of 2.19. Lefties are hitting just 176 against him. Bourne has struck out, grounded out, and popped out. He's 0 for 3. Out of play, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Go Bourne is left-handed. Kipnis is left-handed. Cabrera is switch hitter. You'd rather him bat right-handed. So, you know, that is the reason they will give for the move.
Little dribbler in front of the plate. That's going to be a tough play. Bastardo hesitated, and Bourne is safe at first. They scored a base hit.
They couldn't have rolled it out there any better than that. I don't know that Carlos Ruiz wanted to get to it. He couldn't. As you said, Bastardo hesitated to let the catcher go to it. Take a look and see from this angle. Well, it's certainly more the pitcher's ball than Ruiz has no chance to get that. That's one where Bastardo has to take charge of it, come and get it, and try to throw him out because his catcher has no shot. Too far out.
So a base runner now, and Jason Kipnis will be the hitter. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Justin DeFreitas has just taken his jacket off in the bullpen, so he'll start to warm up. Kipnis takes outside, 1-0. Ground ball right side. To his left is Kevin Franzen. Throw was a little low, but it did its job, and so did Antonio Bastardo. He closes out the 7th in relief of Jonathan Pettibone. No runs, no hits. Excuse me, 1 hit, 1 man left. Time to stretch here in Philly. his answer. All right, Wills, we'll give you the question one more time. Who replaced Chuck as the Indians manager in the middle of the 2002 season?
I know you, and this is going to be nice try, but incorrect. Eric Wedge.
That's a good guess, Wheels. It's incorrect. You're close because he was part of the Indian system for a long time, much like Eric Wedge. In fact, along with Jeff Datz, he was considered one of the managers in waiting and was a catcher during his big league career.
Did his father manage the Phillies briefly? Bob Skinner?
He did.
Joel Skinner.
Joel Skinner is correct.
You look at me like Bob Skinner took over for Gene Mauch.
I did know that.
You were young.
I was, well, yeah, I was young.
Very young then.
Joel Skinner, Jeff Datz, Eric Wedge. All three were kind of groomed through the Indian system.
Yeah, and then Wedge became the manager the next year?
After Skinner.
All right, thanks. A little Indians history lesson there.
Jimmy Rollins leads it off here in the bottom of the 7th against Brian Shaw.
Bob Skinner was a good player, too. He played, best years were with the Pirates, and then did manage the Phillies a little bit.
Joel Skinner was more of a backup catcher during his career. Tall.
So was Bob.
Rollins off the end of the bat, flips it into right field for a base hit. Leadoff single to bring Kevin Francis to the plate. Wheels, the auction is winding down. Items for bid in the Phillies Charities Phillies Fantastic Auction will be closing tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. Now still available, a round of golf with Mike Schmidt. That is a great opportunity to pick the brain of the greatest hitter in Phillies history. A private catching clinic with Carlos Ruiz, and a game used in autographed baseball thrown by Roy Halladay during his 2010 National League Division Series no-hitter. Make sure you tune in to 94 WIP and 1210 WPHT Radio tomorrow for programming about the auction featuring many special guests. Hurry, see Phillies.com for information and to place a bid. Kyle Kendrick will be on PHT tomorrow talking about some of the auction items that are up for bid. There's Kevin Franzen with a runner at first.
Bob Skinner in 1968 was Gene Mauch, George Myatt must have been it just a little bit, and then Bob Skinner, and then in '69 Bob Skinner succeeded by George Myatt, and then Frank Lucchese started to manage the Phillies. So that's Skinner was in there for a little bit for 2 years.
Franzen squares, bunts, and it's a beauty to the right side. That'll get Rollins to second. So a runner in scoring position with one out. Well, aside from the base running blunder, Kevin Franzen had himself a pretty good night.
And you know, on that base running thing, I heard you guys talking about it. He was running on the 3-2.
Right.
And he has his head down for a while. And then when he picked it up, he thought it was going to drop. And you know, when you're that far, you may as well just keep on going. Because if he drops it, you're going to be all right. If he catches it, you're out no matter what. So I think he got caught in between a little bit right there where he had his head down for a while. He's had a heck of a night, though, contributing.
Also made a nice play on a pop-up earlier.
Real nice play.
Michael Young, a walk, a fielder's choice, and he was on the beginning end of that double play. Grounds it towards short. Rollins will go back. 2 outs. Bob Skinner, 6'4". I think Joel might have been a little taller than that. I just remember when I was in the minor leagues in Trenton and he was in Akron, having to talk to him and Jeff Datz a lot. And both of those guys were taller than I was.
That's his big guy.
So those are big guys.
I mean, nice career to Bob Skinner.
Joel Skinner is listed at 6'4". Yeah, Bob had a better career than Joel.
Oh, yeah.
Bob hit 103 home runs.
Well, they have Ryan Howard in the overshift now with 2 outs. Now decided to call time. Were they're going to walk him?
I think they're going to walk him intentionally.
Yeah, they have the base open and a right-handed hitter on deck, and Delman Young, so they are going to walk him.
Terry Francona playing the odds, righty on righty.
Yeah, he knows another run here with 6 outs left on the road is very important, because with all the power they have, puts them another hit away from getting a couple men on, tying the game up. So he's going to try and make the right-handed hitter beat him here.
So Howard goes to first. And Delman Young 0 for 2. It is DeFreitas warming up. So if they decide to take the Stardo out of the game, now they may not, because there are some lefties and some switch hitters that are due up for the Indians. If they decide to take him out, DeFreitas will be in instead of Adams, so the back must be continuing to bother him. We thought so before the game, but we weren't told anything definitive.
Right.
And that's designed.
And when you look at some of the numbers of the switch hitters that are coming up, you may want them to hit right-handed as opposed to left. So we shall see.
Popped him up. Nick Swisher, the first baseman, and he makes the catch. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 men left for the Phillies. We've completed 7. Time to take your lineup cards out, boys. Phillies up by 2. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By Budweiser, great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Xfinity, the official HD triple play provider of your Phillies. And by Honda. Visit your Honda dealer today for great deals. Only a Honda is a Honda. Well, there are graduates all around the ballpark tonight. We just graduated. We need jobs. All right.
They're right down front of us.
Good luck to all the graduates that have spent this last week going through their ceremonies. Freddie Galvis checks into the ballgame to play second base for the Phillies, and John Mayberry moves from center field to right field. Ben Revere comes in to play center, and they will bat straight up. So they will keep Bastardo in to move Cabrera to the right side and Swisher to the right side.
Yeah, they have all that down before the game starts to sign if they get into key spots, so they want a guy right or left. And even Santana, lifetime, has 16 home runs off a lefty and 42 off a right-handed pitcher, and he's the third hitter in this inning. The right-hander, DeFreitas, would be up for Reynolds, maybe. The way it looks, the way they want to turn the switch hitters around.
1 ball, 1 strike the count. Galvis and Howard gave it a run. I think Freddie is announcing to Ryan that he won the race.
He also, let me catch it if it's over here. Anytime Freddie can get his hands on something, let him catch it, because the odds are he'll hold on to it. He really enjoys playing. Look at the way he bounces around out there.
Out toward right center field. That's pretty well hit. Mayberry into the alleyway, and it's off the top of the scoreboard, and that's going to be trouble. Cabrera around second, heading to third. Brad Mills will hold him there. That's going to be a leadoff triple. And the tying run is coming to the plate here in the 8th inning.
Well, the idea to turn them around, the first one doesn't work. And that guy wanted an inside the park home run, but they're down by 2 runs on the road. Brad has to hold him. As a fastball right down the middle. See it carry, hits off the top of above the scoreboard there, and then it takes that crazy camera because they both got real close to it. Now watch him try to stop himself here. He's going to go down into a slide. He did that on purpose, which is a really good move for a player because you can go down, pop right back up, not hurt yourself, and get back, as opposed to if you just try and throw on the brakes and maybe fall on your face. Good, that was good base running.
Phillies will play the infield back with nobody out, leading it by 2. And Nick Swisher at the plate. Swisher takes low, 1-0. He's been on base 3 times, a couple of hits, hit by a pitch. Out of play, 1-1. And 2. And a called strike 3. Got it with a fastball. I think he shocked him. 1 out.
Yeah, with 2 strikes on you, I don't know what he could be looking for here. Tough to hit a breaking ball if you're looking for it, even with 2 strikes. And that's a fastball. It's right there. Swisher, he just has that blank. He's not looking at the umpire or anything. He knows that was a strike. And what they're probably doing right here is talking about this is it for you. Because we're going to, with Reynolds on deck, we're going to go to the right-hander.
See, if it were me, I wouldn't want them to tell me that, although I would assume that it's it for me. But
Well,
I wouldn't want them to tell me that.
You can't assume that.
I know
if you're
that.
the pitcher. You know what I mean? I know what you're saying.
Well, it's time now for a Hyundai defensive play of the game, and it was earlier, and it was by the Indians' first baseman, Nick Swisher.
Yeah, he did make a good play on this. Dominic hit that one right on the nose. Could easily have another hit tonight. Good cover there by Casimir.
Oh, it's brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. So Santana batting right-handed. Swisher still thinking about that strikeout. First pitch is inside and low, 1-0.
And you go back to your point about what you're saying is valid. You know, do you want your pitcher to know that? Well, the other thing you have to tell him is get after him, too. This is your last hitter. If he hits a home run, he ties a game, you're still at home. Don't walk him. Then the next guy coming up, so go ahead run. And he's a real bombardier. Don't think they would say pitch around him. Like Rich Doobie would say, well, that would be stupid. Or something like that.
What he might say is, wheels, keep me out of your stick.
Try to. Well, I don't think they want to go 3-0 on him because Tito might turn him loose here. Terry Francona might just say, go ahead. Breaking ball. They're thinking the same thing. We're not going to challenge him here. Throw a fastball down the middle to him.
He did throw a fastball, and it's 3-2.
And a good spot, too. It was away.
Santana doubled and scored in the second, was hit by a pitch in the third, grounded it to a double play as last time.
Oh, actually, it wasn't his way as much as we thought. Got into that zone too much.
Mark Reynolds on deck.
I think they go 3-2 breaking ball here?
I would think so. With Cabrera at third. Good fastball.
Yeah. The out is what they want more than anything. This one's a little bit more away and in a good spot. By that I mean a walk. You don't want to walk here. If you hit the ground ball, you're still 4-3 and they're down to 4 outs.
In the dirt, ball 4, first and third with 1 man down.
And they did go with it. The breaking ball and missed.
Charlie Manuel's getting up and he's going to go get DeFreitas.
Yeah, and this is a tough spot to bring a young pitcher in. That's where they are right now, evidently, because Adams isn't available.
Adams is battling a sore back. So that's why it's DeFreitas who is up and warming and is coming in here in the 8th inning. So we're going to get another pitching change. Charlie Manuel just signaled to the bullpen as DeFreitas throws one more warm-up pitch and will take over for Antonio Bastardo. Phillies on top by 2. The Indians have 2 runners on with 1 out here at the top of the 8th. Will complete a 3-game series in the 5-game homestand with Star Institute Melanoma Awareness Day, presented by Blue Cross and Citizens Bank. A free floppy hat to fans 14 and under. Make your plans. Order your tickets at Phillies.com. Antonio Bastardo is the responsible for the 2 base runners here in the top of the 8th inning.
Well, it was set up the top of the order for a left-hander with the 2 left-handed hitters and 3 switch hitters you wanted to turn around. He got part of the job done.
Well, now he's going to hand things over to DeFreitas, who did throw the ball well in his 1 outing against the Diamondbacks, and it was kind of a tense situation then, too.
Yeah. Well, he got Goldschmidt came off the bench, and he got him out in a big spot. Now, this is you're also seeing right here where they just don't trust on Mom right now, because you would use it. He's been in more games this year, has a little more experience. They're just trying to find another guy to see if they can get somebody out in these spots.
Double play set up for the Phillies as Reynolds he's looking to give the Indians a lead in a big way.
Yeah, and he didn't want that to just be in the flower bed either. Freitas coming in with a pretty good fastball, and see if he can get his breaking ball over or get it into a chase situation.
Broke his bat out towards center. Galvis is there. That is a heck of a pitch.
He jammed it with a really good fastball.
94 on the gun.
And it ran in on him.
2 outs.
And Reynolds is going to swing to hit home runs all the time. Here it comes right here. Now watch it come inside. Really jammed him. And there it is, right on the label. Well, that's a tough spot to hit a 94. The bat won't handle that.
That's the only batter for DeFreitas. Charlie Manuel is going back out. Jeremy Horst didn't really warm up at all. But he's ready to come in. DeFreitas does his job, gets the right-hander. Now it's up to Jeremy Horst to get us to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Phils up by 2. Says from the Sixers, and we'll hear from the Eagles' newest running back and former Cowboy Felix Jones. Chevy Malibu Sports Night tonight after Phillies postgame live right here on Comcast Sports Night. Justin DeFreitas faced one batter, shattered his bat.
He's faced 2 pretty good right-handed hitters in his 2/3 of an inning in the major leagues and gotten them out this year in the major leagues.
Now, obviously, these guys are in here because Mike Adams is unable to go, apparently.
Exactly. And look what it's taken here to try and get through the 8th inning.
First and third. It'll be lefty on lefty. Brantley takes a strike. It's 0-1.
Right. And you also have on deck a right-handed hitter, Stubbs, but Giambi's available.
Right. Almont's warming up in the bullpen. It's a little gamesmanship, probably.
Yeah.
0-1 the count to Brantley. He is 1 for 3. On the outside corner, 0-2.
That's to try and make them put Giambi.
There's Giambi.
And then think you're going to. Right now, the thing you want right now is to get Horst to get this guy out.
The 0-2 pitch. Fastball up and away, 1-2.
Back and forth they're going right now with a Moose.
Got him. He snuck a fastball right on the outside part of the plate, and Brantley, well, he was certainly fooled. He's down on strikes, and this bullpen by committee here in the 8th inning is able to get through and take us to the bottom of the 8th. It winds down with Jeremy Horst. It began with Bastardo, and right in the middle was Justin DeFreitas. Red Sox here at Citizens Bank Park. Now, all fans 14 under receive the great giveaway. It's the W.B. Mason Phillies collectible truck. Make your plans and order now at Phillies.com. That's right. It's a great giveaway each and every year. A little different. It's an 18-wheeler. Wheels.
Thank you.
Yep.
Go back over that top of that 8th inning. What a great job they did. The bullpen did, and a good job that they did in the dugout to piece that all together without Adams. Bastardo turning the switch hitters around. You have a leadoff triple that inning. You figure one has to score. They get nothing. And to use the right-hander on Reynolds, the left-hander on Brantley, and it all worked. That all could have blown up, too. There was a lot of murmuring going on every time he walked out there, which is one of the great things about this game, is trying to think what's going to happen.
Dominic Brown is the batter. Brown takes inside 2-0. Now Papelbon is already up on the mound and getting himself ready.
Right, that was the whole key, to somehow get to him without Adams available, and they did it.
Outside corner, 2-1.
And any one of those moves that they made could have blown sky high, and it would have looked, like a mistake. So you trust your players, you trust your ideas on your moves, and then you go back in the dugout and you hope, if you're a manager.
I think a couple of things that stood out. DeFreitas' fastball, and the fact that Horst had good late movement on his fastball.
He got ahead of him. He got ahead of Brantley. Now he's talking hitting.
Outside, 3-2.
But there were some high fives going on with the staff down there when that inning ended, on the way they got through that inning. That was not easy. That's a really good offensive lineup, and they're not out of the woods yet.
Mark Reynolds may have a play on this one. He's got plenty of room. He gets back to a spot. Dominic Brown now 2 for 4 with that pop out. And now Carlos Ruiz. Eric Kratz is running in from the bullpen. He was out there catching when the Phillies had 2 relief pitchers warming up. They have Jesus Tiamo out there, and of course Eric. And he's got to work in tonight. Bring him in case they need him to pinch hit.
Because they have a left-hander up in the bullpen right now, and he's the one right-handed move left. Utley and Nix remain from the left side.
Up and away, 1-1.
That's what Terry Francona's thought right now is, all right, well, I'm going to keep Utley on the bench. So you get Rich Hill on.
A line drive base hit back through the middle for Carlos Ruiz. He had been 0 for 10 against the Indians. And he gets his first hit.
Comes Mayberry now. He's bringing Nix into the on-deck circle. If they were bringing the left-hander in for him, then he'd probably hit Kratz and still have Utley available if you were to need him at some point later on. Hopefully the Phillies will not, but he could just be the decoy, Nix.
Kratz helmet on, bat in hand. Mayberry is 2 for 3 tonight. Singled and doubled. Takes a strike, 0-1.
It's a fun game tonight. Back and forth, a lot of moves.
And another close game, too.
Yeah, well, Phillies play a lot of them, Tommy. They have 4 runs tonight, though. That's a lot.
I was looking back at some of the games the Phillies have played this year. When there's a 5-run lead or more, the Phillies have won 4 times. They've lost 8 times. But they only have 4 wins where they have a 5-run lead or more.
And you don't want to get in 1-run games with these guys because they've won a lot of them.
The 0-2 pitch coming to Mayberry. In the dirt. Gets away from Santana. Ruiz will get up to second. That was a 55-footer right there.
It really was. Santana did all he could. I mean, he put his body in front of it, tried to deaden it. It looked like a curveball. And you see, they always go the opposite direction. He'll hit the ground and go the other way, and then it hit his body, and he didn't know where it was.
And a line drive, base hit into center field again for Mayberry. Ruiz is being waved home. The throw by Bourne, cut off by Swisher, and an extra run for the Phils. And John Mayberry's having himself a heck of a night.
Big run there, too. Nice going. But a wild pitch gets him into scoring position, then a bullet. Michael Bourne, you never used to run on him when he was younger. Now you run on him. For whatever reason, he doesn't throw like he used to. And that throw, you could see it from where we were, had to be cut off because it was offline. It's a slider, and he really nails it into center field. Now here comes Bourne. You never used to run on him from there. That thing, see, has a lot of tail on it, and that was not going to get there even close, and it had to be cut off, and they get the run.
So surprising to watch how that arm has evolved over the last couple of years.
Yep.
So a pitching change here at Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies lead it by 3. 1 out, bottom of the 8th inning. They've got a runner aboard. Lance Nix is due up, but that may change just as the hurler changes for the Indians. Hill takes over with Lance Nix due up. Hill, no wins, no losses, a 3.24 ERA, 11 strikeouts, and 8 1/3. Looks like Charlie Manuel's going to keep Lance Nix in the game. Boy, John Mayberry really has done a heck of a job tonight from the 8-hole. He has 3 RBIs, 3 hits, including a 2-run double. I always say sometimes it's easy to hit in the 8-hole because you're going to get some fastballs. Sometimes it's hard to hit in the 8-hole depending on the situation
because you won't get any fastballs.
Right,
yeah, he's done a great job. Now Nix will hit here because they have a 3-run lead. They really don't have to use up 2 players here to get more runs. Maybe if it had been just 2 runs, you're thinking, I want to get another one. But with 3, you can just use the one move.
Papelbon is throwing in the pen. It is a safe situation. There goes the runner. Pitch is taken for a strike. The throw not in time. That was all on the pitcher there. Read beautifully by John Mayberry. Second steal of the year.
Yeah, Rich Hill, long, slow delivery to the plate. They know that, and they just took off on him. 1-4 is his low time. That's a run. That's a run guy. Those are the kind of things you go over in meetings before the game. That if a certain guy comes into the game, we're going to think about running. And then you just remind them.
So Juan Samuel did the reminding.
Yep.
Off the glove of Santana, and it's 2-1. Reminder, it's a Citizens Bank Business Person Special and a Model Sporting Goods senior stroll the bases afterward. Cole Hamels will start for the Phillies tomorrow. Corey Kluber will start for the Indians. Nix flares one out towards center, playable for Bourne. Is 1 for 3, or 1 for 4, excuse me. He singled his last time. Broke his bat hitting from the left side of the plate. Rollins is 3 for 11 against Rich Hill. Terry Francota's pitching coach is Mickey Callaway.
Yeah, this is about the base being open and who you want to face here, whether they would walk him out or pitch around him, or whether they're going to decide to go right after him. But just a reminder to a veteran pitcher and catcher combination that we do have a base open and a less experienced hitter on deck in Galvis.
Well, they're going to walk him intentionally.
Yep, that's what it was.
Look at Charlie talking to Freddie. Look at him. He was just talking to him as he was getting his bat ready.
No respect, Freddie. Go get him. Charlie really likes Freddie Galvis. You bring his name up to him and his eyes light up.
Well, he said he hasn't seen anybody know how to play the game as well as he does come through the system in quite a long time.
Young legs, plays with a real with energy.
Ball 4, Rollins is aboard. First and second, 2 outs.
Freddie's been better left-handed than right. That's why they played Franson tonight. And Kevin Franson had a heck of a game.
Franson finished with a home run. He was hit by a pitch twice, a sacrifice bunt. Galvis up for the first time, batting .280 as you saw with 2 home runs. Takes inside 1-0. And he rips one inside the third base bag. It's a fair ball. Mayberry will score. Rollins to third. Galvis to second. And he is out. The run counts, though. And the Phillies will have a 4-run lead as they go to the 9th inning. Give him an RBI single. Terry Francona decided to roll the dice and go with the inexperience of Freddie Galvis, and he made him pay. His reaction as it goes fair, and to give the Phil a 4-run lead. Analysis of Jonathan Pettibone's performance against the Indians, plus a complete game breakdown with highlights only on Pure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Post-Game Live. Jonathan Papelbon is in the game despite it not being a save situation. It's a 4-run Phillies lead. 6-2 as we go to the top of the 9th inning. Papelbon, no wins, no losses, a 1.15 ERA. 7 for 7 in save opportunities, and he had himself an interesting weekend in Arizona, because he closed out both games that the Phillies won against the Diamondbacks. Saturday was probably a little tougher than Sunday lengthwise, but fatigue-wise, Sunday might have been a little more trying. They didn't know if he was available going into Sunday's game, but sometime during the middle of the game, he said, "I'm ready to go." Got himself all loosened up, and he wound up pitching an inning to close it out. And now will face his former manager, Terry Francona, in a non-safe situation with the Phillies on top 6-2. Those guys had an interesting relationship up in Boston. Murph, what about that relationship?
Well, Tom, as you know, Pap can be a man of few words, but when we were in Cleveland, I was sitting next to him in the dugout. He had just had a conversation with his old manager, Terry Francona, so I asked him, how that relationship was, and he had nothing but great things to say about Terry Francona. Said he was the kind of manager that when he needed to, he would let you, have your rope, but he would also, pull it back very hard when needed. So they had a very good relationship. They both enjoyed each other's company.
Well, a base runner as Drew Stubbs bunts his way on to begin the 9th inning. Michael Young decided that there was no way he was going to get Drew Stubbs, so he would wish that ball foul, but it was fair by a pretty good margin. Well, Papelbon helped Terry Francona win his second World Championship when they defeated the Colorado Rockies.
He has a lot of good things to say about Papelbon. You sit down and talk to him, and they don't have the success that they had up there without this guy. 219 saves. Right. And he thinks a lot of it.
Well, here's Mike Aviles. And he takes the first pitch outside. It's 1-0. 267, 2 home runs, 13 runs batted in. He's a pinch hitter. Pinch hitting for the pitcher.
These guys will not, excuse me, Tom, these guys will not stop swinging at you right now. That was a good play by Stubbs, who can fly from that right side just to try and get on base, get something started here. Got the third baseman way back. You don't think he's going to bunt.
Ground ball to shortstop. Backhanded by Rollins. Quick pitch to second for one. Over to first. Dug out by Howard. A 6-4-3 double play. Yes, sir.
You don't think about Jonathan throwing a whole lot of double play balls. You know, he's a strikeout fly ball guy. And he got one there. That ball was smoked, too. They don't have to play in double play depth with a 4-run lead, so Jimmy's back. And now a good takeout slide there by Stubbs, who was on him in a hurry. And as you said, a great play at the other end. Another thing, Tom, when you have the lead, you don't have to have your infielders up in double play depth, so you can play back, or else you're in double play depth. That ball's in left field, 2 on, nobody out.
Well, 1 out away now from the 3rd consecutive victory for the Phillies. They lead it 6-2. Michael Bourne is the batter, and Bourne takes a strike. It's 0-1. Phillies began the night 4.5 games out in the National League East, even though they found themselves under the 500 mark. A win tonight, they could pull to within 4 of the Braves, who are just underway against Arizona. Out to shortstop. This could do it. Rollins has it. Quick toss to first in time, and Papelbon has a 6-pitch 9th inning as the Phillies close up shop and defeat the Indians 6-2. They've won 3 consecutive ball games.
Yeah, and no more O for Ohio, which is nice.
John Mayberry, well, he's our Chevrolet player of the game, and why not? Mayberry from the 8-hole at 3 hits, 3 RBIs. Hit the ball pretty hard tonight, and he did it when the Phils were behind 2-1. They erased the deficit, and they never looked back. Well, this is a good win, you know, coming off 2 important wins against Arizona. And here are our W.B. Mason deliveries of the game.
Well, Tom's just talking about these big hits. That looked like a changeup out over the plate, and he nails that baby. The Phillies were down by a run at that point, and now when this is all over, they are up by a run as 2 runs score. And then they're trying to add on a little bit here later in the ballgame in the 8th inning. Runner at second base on a wild pitch. A slider from Shaw out over the plate. Michael Bourne's throw is weak and cut off. John Mayberry stays right there with his 3rd run batted in. Pretty good show tonight for the 8-hole hitter. That's our W.B. Mason deliveries of the game. And that 8-hole hitter, John Mayberry Jr., he's down there with Murph. Murph?
He is indeed 3 for 4, 3 RBIs tonight, John, out of that 8-hole position. I know a lot is made about where you bat in the lineup, but any different kind of approach when you're in that 8-hole?
No. I think that the approach remains the same. You want to try to get a good pitch to hit and put it in play hard somewhere. No matter where you're hitting, you have to stay within yourself and maintain your approach.
Every game is important in a Major League Baseball season, but these guys really took it to you on their home field. Any thought in the back of your mind that you needed to bring it back when you were at home?
Well, we definitely remember that. It wasn't a fun couple games for us there, so we want to come in our home ballpark and play well. That's the goal each and every time we come out here.
3 wins in a row for this team. You start off a homestand with the win. Big picture, just how important is it to get this team rolling?
Oh, it's big. I think we want to establish some momentum here and ride it out as long as we can. I think that we're starting to pitch the ball as well as anybody, and we got some runs late, some insurance runs, so that was nice to see from an offensive standpoint.
All right, John, congratulations. Guys, back upstairs.
Murph, thank you very much. The Phillies win it 6-2 as they have defeated the Indians to win their 3rd straight. A little subdued, Jonathan Papelbon. He'll still take it, though. He's done a heck of a job, and he did a great job to finish off this 9th inning. We'll be back to talk more about it right after this.